Hi everyone, this is Dr. Jack Mitchell with Entrepreneur's Corner. We're brought to you today by TCoast Studios and by DiscountDirectory.net. As you know, our goal here is to give some advice and information to people who are considering becoming entrepreneurs, business owners, or those folks who have recently started their own business. And so we try to bring on guests who can provide some meaningful insight and ideas and helpful hints to help people be successful in their venture. Today I have a very special guest, a friend of mine. We were talking earlier, 25 years that Tim and I have known each other. We've actually been business partners together over the past years. He is truly an expert in the whole area of executive coaching. I know Tim personally. I know the reputation he has in the business community as an exceptional executive coach, but he's also a great friend. And so I wanted Tim to come on today to share with you, because Tim's worked with entrepreneurs who are just starting their career, and he also has a specialty now of working with business owners who are planning on exiting their business over the next number of years. And he's worked with them in between the process of just beginning and ending their careers as business owners. So Tim, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Just give the folks just a thumbnail sketch of a little of your history and how you get into this whole thing with being an executive coach and a real true entrepreneur.
Hey, thanks, Jack. Well, my background is in accounting and finance. I did a lot of work in large corporations, small cap corporations, the real corporate America stuff before I moved to Florida. Then I decided I really wanted to do it for myself. Mm-hmm. It's nice making money for other people, but it's a lot nicer when you make money for yourself and you control things.
Amen.
We met through executive coaching, which was called Tech at the time. We turned into Vistage later, and Jack was my coach.
Many years ago.
So I got to teach him about business as my coach.
Exactly.
Which is really the job of a coach, is to listen. And Jack was one of the best listeners I've ever known. So he really got to learn my business and help me make some really important decisions over that time. Years later, when I sold that business, I got into coaching myself and realized that was something that I really wanted to be able to do when I learned how to do it. And it made such a difference. I mean, you've been there, you know what that's like, that great feeling of really helping somebody find the right answer. And that's really what coaching is about. And that's how I got to where I am. Yeah,
excellent. And now, your practice, Tim, is it local, is it national, or?
Most of mine is local, fairly local. I don't really want to spend my whole life traveling. I've done enough of that over the years. You know what that's like, and it's not as much fun as it used to be. So really more of it is done locally, and it's about the connections with people. I'm kind of a serial coach because I coach anywhere I go. I mean, I've been to Italy, walking through vineyards, and start talking business and marketing and all kinds of technology with owners there. And so anywhere I am, I get into that conversation. And that's the neat part about entrepreneurs or business owners, is that they generally have a passion for what they do. They're going to make something. It's on them. They have to make it happen. And the energy that they have, it's like talking about their baby. Yeah. And very often they have this great picture of Carlo Farini, which is one of the top winemakers in Italy. And we're there with him and his daughter, his beautiful daughter. We had lunch with them. We go to the vineyard, and he goes down. He leans to a plant. And he goes, "My bambinos," and that's how they feel. And it's wonderful to be brought into that family of each of their businesses.
So, as an entrepreneur, or someone thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, do they need to have that passion or that desire or that love of their particular product or service?
Well, I think you know how important the why is to me.
Yeah.
And the why is all about passion. If you don't know what your passion is, you're probably not having a whole lot of fun. Whether it's in just a job or parenting or even in your volunteer work or anything in your hobbies, you want to have passion. And if you can identify the passion and focus on it, you certainly are going to enjoy it more. You're going to be better at it. It's going to make more sense. It's going to fit with who you are. when you look at someone who's going to go into business, they certainly do need to have that passion. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to put your money on the line and you're going to put people's lives on the line and their livelihood on the line, you better make sure you also know what you're doing. Passion is not quite enough. You'd have to know what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Those are very, very important parts of it. But the drive is going to have to come from passion.
Mm-hmm. I think that was beautifully said, Tim. The idea of passion's not enough. We've had some folks come and talk about passion, and you and I both agree that is a major part of success, but that's not enough. Mm-hmm. You have to have business acumen and have your business plan and have the capital and so forth, and to know how you're going to get to the goal that you have as a business person. One of the things Tim and I have been involved in over the years has been personality assessments. I don't know, we perhaps have done thousands of them, Tim, together with the different clients we've had over the years. And personality assessment have become so sophisticated today that the instrument that Tim and I use have a 93 to 97% accuracy. In other words, when someone completes one of these profiles, we can tell within 93 to 97% what their personality, what their communication style is, what kind of role or job would be particularly suitable for them. Tim, is there any kind of in your experience as an expert in interpreting personality assessments, is there any kind of an ideal profile that someone has? Do they have to be tall or short? Can they be white or black? Can they be skinny or fat? Can they be ugly or good looking? Or do they have to be dominant, or they be more passive? Do they have to be outgoing? What is there any particular profile from a personality communication style that you think would be most appropriate?
Very definitely. All of them.
All of them. Okay.
I've coached dozens and dozens and dozens of CEOs and business owners and leaders of political leaders and nonprofit leaders. Yep. And you get to see that any one of them can be successful with a diverse variety of personality types. The real key with the personality is to understand yours, to understand who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you get things done, and how you communicate with other people. So the real key for any entrepreneur or any leader is understanding the people that they're leading, the people that they connect with. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, that means your employees. You've got to understand and have the right team around you to balance out your skills and their skills. You want to be able to balance out your personality type with theirs. You may be very outgoing, but you need somebody else who's going to be very detail-oriented. Mm-hmm. And you want to be able to build that team and communicate with that team, which is where the team strength concept comes in that we've developed over the years, where we can show the entire team and the differences so that you can understand and take advantage of the diversity. You also need to, as an entrepreneur, you also need to understand your customers. What motivates your customers, and how do you connect with them? How do you have that conversation so they're actually going to hear what you want to say, not just say what you want to say. Mm-hmm. So your answer to your question there is very definitely every type, but you have to understand the others and be flexible and be able to adapt in a way that's going to be able to get your message across and make you successful and get those people to understand what you need them to do.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and I think a key word there is adaptation, to adapt to the communication style and the personality of your employee or your customer or your vendor or whomsoever you're interacting with. So tell folks just a little bit about the team strength chart, because that's something that Tim, basically I kind of tagged along with that, but it was really Tim's brainstorm. Tell the folks a little bit about our team strength chart and how that works.
Well, from over the years, being in corporate America and then even coaching CEOs and having my own company, the profiles became very important. I need to understand, I wanted to have every tool available to be able to communicate the best way I could. Mm-hmm. And I remember bringing you in to talk to one of my CEO groups, and that's kind of where the idea started of going, I want to see how these guys and women work together and understand each other's strengths. And from that, started designing a team strength chart which combined all the different personality types into one. So So you could see a team of 5, 10, or even just 2 people. I have to have a conversation with somebody. I want to see their profile and mine, so I know exactly how to tailor my conversation so they're actually going to hear it and receive it. It's a powerful tool because one of the things that I've always felt was missing in the use of personality profiles of whatever type was it would use as a hiring tool. As you asked me earlier, what's the perfect profile?
Yep.
Oh, we develop a profile and then we try to hire to that profile and match it up. Even if we do that and then we take that profile, we use it as a tool to decide that we're going to hire them, and then we put it in their personnel file and nobody ever looks at it. So 6 months later, we're going, how come Joe didn't work out? Because nobody looked at how he meshed with the others and nobody adapted to make that happen. The team strength becomes a tool to really build on the different variety of personality types in your organization so that you take advantage of that and make the environment the most suitable for each of them to reach success.
I remember an instance that we had with one of the local government agencies, and they were looking for a supervisor, and we looked at the profiles of the people that this individual was going to supervise, and we saw that they were of a particular pattern to this group of clerical people that were working for one of the government agencies, and we realized that the correct profile for leadership with this was different than your more traditional leadership position because of the nature of the personalities of the individuals with whom they were going to be overseen. So what you're saying is that there are so many factors involved in good leadership, then there's no one particular profile that's going to be just perfect for in every instance.
Correct, and it's important to know yourself and then understand what's missing.
Yeah. But to have what Tim and I developed was this chart that you could overlay people's profiles and move them around and see, which ones, how they would interact with each other, and then we could give guidance in terms of how to be really an effective communicator within that organization. So that really has worked out pretty well, and we still continue to do that. Tim, tell the folks in terms of another part that you're personally very involved in now is with an organization that actually helps business owners who've had time in their business and now are thinking of perhaps the next phase in their life outside of the business. Share with the folks just a little bit about what you're doing there.
Okay, what we're talking about is exit planning.
Exactly.
And the organization is NAVIX. It's a nationwide organization that helps business owners have a happy exit. And happy is a very important part of it. It's not just how do I sell my business, but what do I do afterwards? How do I set things up in the meantime? And one of the things you asked me to come on the show was to talk about entrepreneurship. And for an entrepreneur, someone starting a business, people will say, well, when's the right time for me to start thinking about my exit plan? And it's the day you start your business. Yeah. Because if you don't, every decision you make during those years may or may not lead to a happy exit. And if you know and understand what that long-term goal is, you can make better decisions that are going to get you there. And the other part about exit planning is looking at someone's business to help them adapt it so that it will be ready for whatever that next step is, whether it's a sale, whether it's passing it to the children, whether it's passing it or selling it to the employees. There's a lot of different ways and many different tools that come in that come into play in each one of those that are separate. It's important to identify what that goal is, otherwise you don't know what path to take on it. And one thing we find when we do this, we just help companies run their businesses better. And in almost every case I've dealt in, the owner ends up getting to the point of going, this is way more fun, I don't want to exit. And exit doesn't really mean to leave. Exit really means, do I control my calendar? Do I get to decide when I'm going to do what I'm going to do? And do I have enough money to do the things I want to do? And is my company safe enough to make that happen? So very often those plans adapt, but you have to look at it in depth to get there. The other thing that I find from that is you look at businesses that have been around 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and people are good at something, and that's why they're good in business. They may be a really good salesperson, or they may be really good with the numbers, or maybe a couple of those things. but they're not usually good at everything. And that's why it's really important. One of the things we look at right away is the team.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at the team, if you're going to pass this company to your kids, okay, well, Junior's 22. Not a whole lot of life experience running a company. So you better have a team around him or her to make sure that they're going to be successful. And you've got to do some planning to do that. And it's also development from all the people that are on board. And you may not have the right people. If you're going to sell that company outside, most likely they're going to want to either keep you, if you're the key to the business, you're going to get stuck being there longer, or you've got to develop a team around you that says, I can step back. I don't have to be here to make this successful, which is going to enhance the value of your company. When you can start to do that and step back, that's when owners start to realize, wow, this is way more fun doing this stuff instead of all that other stuff. So understanding it from the beginning, it's a great exercise for anybody to go to, no matter how old they are or how long they've been in business. Unfortunately, most business owners get so busy just being in business that they don't think about it. And there's a lot of decisions that get made that are not going to help them get where they need to be in the end.
Stephen Covey was always one of my favorite authors, and he says you begin with the end in mind, and that's what you're talking to him, that even as an entrepreneur and you are thinking about starting your business, to have that end in mind so that you have a direction, and then you build the strategy and the tactics, and you have someone like yourself that will help coach that entrepreneur, that executive, in terms of the strategies and implementations of the correct strategy to attain that goal in mind. So that's wonderful. Let me just close with, Tim, is there any kind of point that you'd like to just share with the audience in terms of something that a challenge that they may have to consider, or some kind of advice that you think that would help them either get in the business correctly or advance them in their business?
It really is the same advice that is unique for everybody. So there's no one magic pill. I wish that was the case. There isn't. It really is kind of taking a step back and saying, I don't have all the answers. I mean, for a leader needs to be vulnerable. They need to be able to say, I don't know everything. If you go in everything going, I know that, you're going to make a lot of mistakes because you're going to not get the benefit of other people's information. So the key is to find people that are going to be, that you can use as a sounding board. It's much better to have a coach or a peer group. Get into a peer group if you can find one, because if you're only getting advice from people within your company or your customers or your family, each one of those has a dog in the fight. And so you need to find somebody independent or some other folks independently that are going to be able to help you do that.
That's right.
And I think that's the critical part. It's the success comes from the relationships you have and the people you get to know over time and those connections. If you're only going into business to make money, you're not going into business for the right reason. If you do things right, no matter what the business is, you're going to make money. It's going to happen. But if that's the only goal, you're going to make some decisions that are going to be short-sighted.
I told you, folks, Tim is a very special guy. Perhaps one of the brightest men I've dealt with, and one of the best businessmen. And now that he's an executive coach, any of you that may want some professional advice or professional assistance, Tim is just terrific. So I recommend him most highly. Tim, how can people get in touch with you?
Probably the easiest.
You can always see me, and I'll get a commission. But
that's right.
That's right. How can they get in touch with you, and they can skip me?
The easiest way is to go to my website, www.kinane.com. That's Kinane. And from there, there's a wealth of information right there to look up, and you can contact me. My contact information is on there as well. Always glad to have a conversation. I love helping people find answers to problems.
Tim has a unique ability of asking really incisive questions to help people think and to make informed decisions. So Tim, thank you so much for being here. It's
My pleasure.
And you've been terrific. And folks, we thank you for watching us or listening us to our podcast or here on our webcast. And we thank you for your your participation, and we hope that, and I'm sure this was a very valuable and beneficial session for you. So have a great day, and we'll see you the next time in Entrepreneur's Corner. Thank you.
You've been listening to Entrepreneur's Corner, a talk show that interviews entrepreneurs of the Treasure Coast and gets valuable insight to their secrets for success and the story of their business. Sponsored by...
Are you looking for more customers? We've developed a highly effective state-of-the-art online local directory to promote discounts and deals from local business owners. Introduce yourself and share a special incentive for local residents on discountdirectory.net.
Shop local, support local, save local. DiscountDirectory.net and TCoastStudios.